Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you checking out my videos. And in today's video, I am turning these old calendars and a new calendar into all of these fun things. Some of them are, nothing new, but maybe one or two is something a little different. So I hope you find some good idea in here, something to play with and something to use your old. And this one is a new calendar, 2026. So I hope you get some ideas. And again, thank you for being here. So here we go with ideas 1 through 5 plus. Ideas 1, 2, and 3 are so quick and easy you don't need a tutorial. But I wanted to put these ideas out because that's what I've been playing with, and why not? And they're different from last year. So here's a 2025 calendar. These are both 2025 calendars. So these are just really fun. These Cliben cat images are just so much fun. So here we go. I've torn out a few pages. And we just have, just turn them into journal cards. Simple as can be. Journal cards, you have your fun images. You've got your wonderful fun images, easy to cut out, easy to apply to a nice piece of cardstock. I cut off the white borders on this particular image because I had this ivory colored cardstock. And this one's fun. I'm just going to keep this one because it's art, it's very artsy. And I sewed around this one. I did glue on the cardstock and then I sewed around the edges. So that's easy peasy. And this one, so there's your basic idea. Number 1 is journal cards. And idea number 2 is postcards. So if you've got a postcard stamp. And I cut out one of the little mini images. You can see you've got these little mini images on the pages, and those can be cut out. So I had this border stamp, and I stamped on the image, and then I stamped on the card, and then I cut out the image so that it would fit inside the border. So yeah, so journal cards, postcards, and then how about greeting cards? This is a fun Christmas image. This was a fun Thanksgiving image in the November, so I just glued it onto a folded piece of cardstock, and I can put a Thanksgiving greeting in here. And I made sure that my cardstock folder would fit inside an envelope I had on hand. So there you go. Idea 1, 2, and 3. Postcard, yep. And then I also had this little kitten calendar given to me and made another journal card and made kind of a tag journal card. And this was using the hole on the top because on this calendar they all have the hole on the top and they're so close to the top of the ears that I decided the best way to use it would be as a journaling card tag, or no, just plain old tag. And of course I could put 2 images back to back, but then I also took out this image and I backed it, I put it on cardboard, a nice piece of chipboard, and then I backed it with another piece of cardstock, and this is a little offcut from over here. And I was able to block the hole. I just went ahead and put a little piece of yellow behind there to block that, and then I covered this whole thing with some transparent clear contact paper. So now this is a writing board, but it's also a journaling card. So it's a little bit of both. So this is what I did for ideas. In a way, we have journaling card, postcard, greeting card, tag, and writing board. So lots of fun ideas. So that's one 1, 2, 3 plus ways of using your calendar images. And of course, the December image in here is definitely going to become a Christmas card next year. Now, idea number 4, again, this is nothing new, but it's new for my video series, and that is making images into envelopes. So I was given, I mean, these are older calendars, but they're just beautiful. But they're not, like last year I was using more of the photo landscape things, so this year I wanted to do something different, of course. So these are beautiful images. So what I have here, let's move that over, is envelopes. And can't get much simpler than that. So this is again quick and easy. And you don't even need to worry about the little hole on top. So for this one, I pulled out one of my own cards that I've made, a greeting card, and I had this nice green envelope with it. But if I set that green envelope aside, I want to make an envelope for this one. Pretty easy stuff. I just have to decide what I want the point to look like and choose one of these 4 corners. So that's easy to do. So we put our, whatever our card size is. Now let's see, now I want that to be the top, right? I want this to be folded over and be the front, kind of the front and the back. So you will be able to remove some here. I'm not too worried about the month, but I don't have to measure or anything. The main thing is simply to make sure that I fold this strategically so that there's a little wiggle room for that card that's going on the inside. And I can fold this down. Most certainly can cut that off, and that would reduce bulk. And then it's just a matter of folding that over. How easy is that? And it's beautiful. And there it is. So I think cutting this off is nice. But you don't have to do any measuring. You just need to have something that you want to put in there. Go around. However, I do recommend that you put some kind of a label on the front for the address. So that's the only thing extra, is the post office needs to see where it's going, unless you're just going to hand it over to somebody. But isn't that a great envelope? So now that's with the 12 by 12. That's with these big 12 by 12 calendars. Now if you've got a smaller one, I pulled out a different card, and this one has a lot of pink in it, so I pulled this image out, and this is 9 by 12. Again, a really standard size. So this would be more of a, you can line it up with the lines on the calendar itself. Now let's see. No, got to do it this way. Got to do it this way. So it's just kind of how big a flap do you want. Now with this one, you can fold it over, or, right, you can fold it over, and remember, leave a little wiggle room, or you can just glue it down. So that's your choice. We can do a fold over. I don't think that's as attractive, so let's fold it over this way, and then we'll just cut off some. And there you have it. Okay, so calendar envelopes. Now this idea takes the longest to make, and that I would call, so this is a new calendar. And I was given 2 of these. So I had a couple of ideas to go with these. So this one requires that you take the whole thing apart, and if you want to use, obviously with two calendars, you can use one for this alternative purpose, or you can just use both in different ways. So we don't need 2025 anymore. So the first thing to do is fold them all in half, with the calendar going to the inside. So once you have all those folded up, it's good to collate them so that they're all in the correct internal direction. We're not worried about these pictures because they're all going to disappear. But we want to make sure we've got everything right side up. So we don't need to do any trimming yet. And if the calendar has an extra wide border on the bottom, we want to retain the month, but if it's got an extra wide border, we're probably going to be trimming that off. But this has got a very slender border all the way around, so I'm going to leave it as is. So now what I want to do is I'm going to use the Barely Art Precision Glue, and I want to glue these together, but I want to create pockets. So now one of the things that I might want to do, I hadn't thought of this until now, but I think what I would like to do is, these are going to be pockets. So I think what I'd like to do is, let me see. Yeah, I think I want to put it on this side. So and we can use the calendar day. Oh, maybe it's not going to work so good. Woohoo! That is important to know. I think I might have to do two at a time because it's kind of a weak paper. Let's see if that works. Wow. That is unexpected. But that's good that maybe try it out on a piece of scrap calendar. That's interesting. There we go. 3 layers. All right, well that's good to know. 3 layers. And then I'll have to collate them again. Okay, everything has had its punch and everything is collated again. And so now I'm ready to glue these puppies together. Goodbye, puppies. So I want to just create pockets. Now it's really important that these get lined up well. So find your own angle, of course, and just make sure you be as precise as possible. I mean, this is going to be a disposable calendar, something that you can use during the year, but we still want it to come together nicely. So now we have a pocket. So I'm going to do the rest of these and we'll come back. So I'm down to the last page, and I'm just making sure that it's lined up as best as possible, and then hope that I did it right all the way through. There we go, January, February, March. I had to keep kind of double checking to make sure I was keeping things right side up. No November, December. Great. So now this is one way of having like a little mini journal calendar. But what are we going to use the pockets for? I got a couple of ideas on that. So I chose some scrapbook paper, and I'm just checking to see which way it likes to curve. And I want to do a couple of things. This one I want to make an absolutely exact the same as the height. So I want to make it exactly the same. I'm not worried about these rough edges. As I said, it's kind of a casual sort of calendar. This is, real junk journaling kind of thing. Now I could keep this on. Ooh, there's a thought. There is a thought. Okay, let me think this through. I got the idea that, I could fold this up and I could make it into a pocket, but that's not going to work. And the reason it's not going to work is that we're wanting to use something to make, like this is very flimsy. I need something there to make it stronger. So I can't fold this up and make it a pocket because it won't be visible. It'll be glued in. I can fold it to the outside, however. So do I want to do that? Maybe I do. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and try it because I hadn't thought of that before. So instead of cutting it off, I am going to fold it and there's a little bit of spine here. So let me see what that might be equal to. I don't need to make it tight, but I do want it to be there. Well, that spine looks to be about 1/4 of an inch. So that's what I am going to do. Aha. I can see where the problem's going to be. Yeah. The problem is going to be that if I glue this down completely, I'm going to have to leave some space. I'm going to have to leave some space. Yes. Okay, I've experienced this before. Okay, so the main thing to do is to not glue within that last inch or so. So I think what I'll do is I'll use 2 glues. And as you can see, this isn't really a pocket, so I didn't need to do that on January. But I really, really need this glued down to reinforce the strength of that weak paper. So now for the back, originally I was thinking that if I had enough leeway, I could have a wraparound, but as it turns out, I don't. So I'm just going to trim that off. And when I glue this down, again, I'm not going to glue within 1 inch. And hopefully this will work. If not, what I could do is, well, I'm not too sure. I'm going to just try this and see what happens. So I have kind of a open spine back here. Let's see if it works. It does not. Well, good. Then I get to find that out so that we can fix that. So what I'm going to have to do is just make it glued to the front and the back and not in between. At least once this is cut open, I can then do a nicer job. It is an experiment. I hadn't done it this way before. Now that you've seen how I'm doing it, I'm sure you can do a much better job. Okay, now it opens flat, and that's what I was going for. So it just means that you've got this exposed spine, and I can actually add some glue and just anchor that down. So I will do that. So I inked the edges and I glued that last edge down. So um, this was very much of an ad lib project. So what is this little thing for anyway? Well, it certainly is an alternative kind of calendar. So it's just kind of a quick flip through kind of a calendar. But with all these pockets, we can put in a notepad. And I was also thinking about making cards, and this is from that quilting, one of the quilting calendars. And so here we have February. You can either put it on this side, and you can put tags in there, and that can be good for whatever you would like to do for notes. It could be for like ideas of what you want to do that month, um, some of your other plans or goals, or just to have another place to make a journaling card that you could put in another one of your journals at the end of the year or as the year goes on. And then I was also thinking it could be a birthday calendar or a greeting calendar. So here's one of those cards. Let's see if it fits. Ooh, it does. So you could have it as a card kind of a folder as well. And then the one other thing that might be a real handy thing to add to it would be like some kind of a closure, maybe an elastic or a ribbon. But, you know, it would be useful that way as well. Now, the other thing that I thought would be a very handy thing is I keep a log in my car. And so if this was in my car, what this would be really good for is I would have something to make notes on, but I could also keep it as a mileage log. Now, I used to do a lot more traveling for business, and that's what I use my log in the car for, is to write down the mileage. And that way, that all can get added up, and it is a write-off at the end of the year, and I've been doing that for years and years and years, but this would be a great little mileage log for just those occasional business trips in case you do that sort of thing. So, yeah, that's what I had in mind by using a new calendar, was to put it for birthday cards, to have some tags to, make notes on, to put a notebook in, any other way that you'd like to use pockets, or just as kind of a casual, kind of a smaller calendar for appointments and things like that, that is small. It doesn't take up a lot of space. So this was, what idea was this? Now, was this idea number 4? No, this was idea number 5. So this year, my ideas for how to repurpose old calendars included, of course, journal cards, postcards. Use a heavier cardstock for postcards you actually want to send through the mail, or this can just become a fun journaling card in one of your journals. Greeting cards, of course, another fun way of using old calendars. I also did kind of a repeat from last year, tags and more journaling cards, only this time it was with kitty cats, and this is a writing board. And then we've got envelopes with 12 by 12 calendar pages, just needs to be glued together, or with the 9 by 12 calendar pages. And just remember to make it easy for the post office to find the address. And then I turned a new calendar into a different kind of calendar. One with pockets for whatever you'd like to put in the pocket, right? And reinforced with some scrapbook paper and external pockets for whatever you'd like to put in there. But it lays flat and it can be an appointment calendar for those occasional times, but just a little bit bigger, especially if you need it to be bigger because maybe your eyes need it to be a little bigger. But you can put appointments in here, you can put birth dates in here. And even when you go past this year, if this was like just a birthday calendar, you could use it that way. So I hope there was an idea here that was maybe a little something different than what you've seen before, and it's all different than what I did last year. And so this is 5+ ideas for how to repurpose old calendars and a new calendar. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope my fumble through on this one helped you to not necessarily need to fumble through on yours. It's really quite sturdy. So it would be great for using at home or in the car or traveling with you. But anyway, thanks for watching. Bye bye.